everybody. Welcome back to Bad Moms in Business, the podcast.
I am Bridgette Robertson.
I'm Amanda Sharp.
I'm Danielle Monahan. Today, we have a very familiar face, Miss Lindsey Wolf. Hello, Miss Lindsey.
Hi, guys. How are you?
How's it going?
Great. Well, all things considered in a global pandemic, but great.
That's a very fair answer. We're super excited to have you back.
I'm so excited to be here. I love you guys. I can't wait to have I just love chatting with you so much. This is an honor.
Well, last time you were here, remember my internet connection kept going out. So we will see if I last the whole episode.
I forgot about that.
Bridget's like, I haven't.
Yeah, I'm still emotionally scarred from it. So we'll see.
Lindsey, you are our first guest that has made a reappearance.
We didn't scare you off. Like, I'm so
love you.
happy to come back.
I'm so excited. Oh my God, you guys, I love you so much. I'm so happy to be back. There is nothing better than just talking to brilliant, down to earth, real women. I'd spend the rest of my life doing this if I could, honestly. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Thanks. How do you feel though, with Amanda here? Are you still comfortable?
Just
that face. Ouch. She's feisty this morning.
She is.
She thinks it's the internet that's going to kick her off today. She's
Amanda's back bringing the
abilities today. That was kind of funny. That I just made a funny.
You did
make a funny. I'm proud
of you. Proud? That came natural.
That's really good.
See, I'm rubbing off on you, Amanda.
Oh, Bridgette, you're precious. Oh, I just feel like you know so much, Lindsey. So you're going to be our resource for so many topics.
Oh my gosh, I hope so. I had a matcha latte before I started, so I feel like I'm fired up and I'm ready to go.
And I don't think anyone mentioned this to you, but we're hoping that because we're recording, you'll say yes, that you'll help us do a reel for Instagram too.
I absolutely will. Is it just me or are they them hard? Well, I feel like I've almost gotten them down. The very first time I did a reel, I swear to God, I think it took me 3 hours. Am I the only one out there? I was I am a smart woman. What is wrong with me? Why is this taking so long?
I still haven't done one because because I'm terrified. I don't know how. I'm not going to.
You're over there on TikTok land. It's the same thing, lady.
All right.
No, seriously. They are. The first time doing a couple, it did take way too long to do something for 15 seconds, potentially.
It's crazy.
Whew. But once you do a few, it is much better. And I can knock one out pretty much in 5 minutes or less if I try.
Yeah. It depends on what I'm doing it about, but yeah. And then also I've realized we don't need to go down the Instagram rabbit hole, but very quickly, I have deleted many reels that I have done and had to start over from scratch, and it's been a whole thing, but it is what it is. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. You're fine. Everything's fine.
I finally cropped a head properly for the grid, and I feel like that was a major win. I don't want to brag, but the head was where it needed to be.
Perfect.
So, Lindsey, what are we talking about today? What are you?
She's just here for coffee, Bridgette.
I'm just here. Yeah, I'm here for the gab.
I am super excited because this is something that I need so much help with. We just had a conversation, the three of us last night, that kind of pertains to this a little bit. So I think, right?
I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah. So time management.
Dun dun dun. And I was so hoping that somebody else can do that that one day. Dang it.
Okay. Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard?
I think, well, that's the thing. It's so funny because this is such an unsexy topic, but really when you get down to it, it is the core of so many reasons why we can't get the things done that we want to get done. And when it comes to why, I mean, I'm going to go down so many rabbit holes with this one. I think that one of the very first things that always comes to me when we're talking, I don't want to say that this doesn't happen with men. When we're speaking about women, when we're speaking about moms, I think 9 times out of 10, it's simply that we're so overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. We are so overwhelmed. We've got so many things on the go. And so I think for a lot of us, it almost just feels like we're just sort of, you know what I mean? Like we're in survival mode. Like a lot of it, like, you know what I mean? We're just like operating like in the moment, like whatever you need. And a lot of times it can get away from us. And then it just becomes this cycle where we get stuck in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many women are on autopilot doing a lot of stuff that has to get done, but maybe not as efficiently as they can be, which will allow more time.
Yeah.
Or you get behind on those things that have to be done. So then they're taking longer to catch back up on because you've neglected it. Mm-hmm. Speaking to myself and laundry, laundry could be a one load a day deal, right? Mm-hmm. It could be. Mm-hmm. Not in my house. It's not. I just need to get some sort of, I've tried so many times to have some sort of schedule where it's like from this time in the morning until this time, we're doing this, and through the day. And one thing happens that throws me off and it's all out the window.
Yes. So for me, when something comes in, so say I have this beautiful time block. I'm a big organizational kind of person. I could time block every second of my day if I could. But the second something comes in, now for the rest of the day, I'm playing catch up because, I was supposed to do this at this time. So then I feel guilty about that. And I was supposed to do this at this time. Instead of just like taking something off my plate, moving it to another day, I just panic for the rest of the day.
And I know what I need to get done in a day. I just usually get distracted, talking to people for like 2 hours on the phone. Clubhouse. Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big one too. Like, especially if you consider the fact that I can't remember where I read this, but the average person spends 3.5 hours of their day on their device.
I believe it.
No doubt.
And so you can only imagine, like I clock mine, and in like a busy season for work, I will be on my phone for 8 hours a day, which to me just blows. I'm like, how does that even happen?
Yeah.
But then when you really think about it, that's the thing about like social media and the internet. Like once you go, it's like a rabbit hole. Like once you're in, then you're in. And then all of a sudden you're like, where did those 15 minutes go? Where did those 30 minutes go? Like, it's just crazy.
By Danielle's face, I know what she just did. And then she was a little shocked by what she just saw.
Don't look it up. It's not a pretty thing.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's really bad.
Today alone, I have picked up my phone and opened it a total of 69 times. And
where does it tell you that?
It's 12:43. So if you have an iPhone, you know what? Let's just do a real quick iPhone tutorial. Why don't we?
Okay.
I'm here for
I have it here. It's on my widget screen. You can't see that. And if you're listening to this, you can't see it. You open your iPhone.
Okay.
You swipe to the left.
Okay. I see widgets.
And mine is like the third thing down.
You must have to put the widget in the thing, huh?
I guess, but it's called, if you go into your settings, it's called screen time, and it's a disgusting display. If you have an Android, I'm of no help, but, and it tells you what you're spending time on as well. Like
I need to do some.
I definitely spent 2 hours and 44 minutes on Clubhouse today.
I have 2 hours and 5 on my phone right now for the day.
Yeah. I'm at 2:14 for the day. 2:15 now.
It's just that we work a lot from our phones. That's all.
Mine does say that today it was mostly messages so far, but by the end of the night, it'll be Facebook, it'll be TikTok, it'll be.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been stepping up my Instagram game, and also I'm working on our Instagram lately. So I've already been on it for 38 minutes today.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty gross. I'm sure a lot of that was just scrolling, right? Like, come on.
It was working, wink, wink.
So, Lindsay, can you like train us to not be addicted to our phones, or do you have methods to help us put it down?
This is like something that, I mean, and I'm going to be honest, I struggle with it. Like during the day, I have literally had to, there's so many things. During the day, I literally have to keep it. If I have like stuff that I have to get done, I have to keep it in another room. Mm-hmm. Like I have to keep it away from me. In the morning, so I'm just going to go through my whole day.
Yeah.
I no longer charge my phone in our room at night. Like my phone used to be my alarm clock. I no longer do that. My husband does it, which is fine because we wake up at the same time and he's fine to scroll on his phone. That's his thing. I charge mine downstairs because I don't touch it. Because again, I found that, and I don't know if you guys have this experience, I found that in the morning when I woke up, if I reached for my phone, immediately I'd go on social media and I just started to feel like garbage. Like I just was like, it wasn't the way that I wanted to. Alternatively, either that or I would go into my emails and the anxiety would just start to set in.
That's the one right there. Emails.
And it killed me. Like it would kill me. And then so all morning, again, I felt like I was putting out fires instead of being able to focus on the thing that I actually needed to do. So what I do now is my phone is not in our room at night anymore. So when I wake up in the morning, I run down to get my coffee, come back upstairs to the office. I have about like an hour and a half to work. Usually I meditate for a little bit, dive into some work because like Danielle, like you, like my anxiety, it's like an ongoing thing that I have to like work, especially this year. I found that it's just been like peaking. And so then I get some work done and then the girls wake up and then it's usually after I get ready. Usually what happens is I'll go and grab it and then I listen to like a podcast like you guys or something while I'm getting ready in the morning. And then that's when that's when I sort of quickly like play on it. And then I give myself like 30 minutes once they're off at school to dive in. But I do find, and then again, once they're home in the afternoon, this is the biggest one for me is I have to check out because I can't tell you how many times like Marcus and I joke about this all the time. We're distracted. We're on the phones, an accident happens. And I'm like, yesterday the girls spilt like smoothie, like all over the couch. And I was just like, what the? And then I realized I'm like, I was on my phone. I wasn't paying attention. Like, so we try to really keep our phones, like we have like a charging station downstairs. We try to really just focus on keeping our phones by the charging station and then staying off them. And then of course, the tricky thing is when you go to bed, because I find that for a lot of us, that's when we tend to jump back on. So I usually try to shut off my phone because usually I'm in bed by like 9:00. I usually try to shut off my phone and stay away from my screen around like 8:00 because I like to give my eyes, I mean, I think we talked about the circadian rhythm too, like the last time.
Yes.
The blue light is just horrible. So it's really important to sort of give yourself that break. But again, I'm not perfect. I struggle with this. I think that these things are created to be like the devices, like
absolutely.
Social media is created to be an addiction. So it's only natural. Like I don't want to spend time beating myself up when I'm just like succumbing to the thing that I'm supposed to be succumbing to. I just know now that I don't have I don't want to say willpower, but I don't have the willpower to stay off of it if it's beside me, which is why I'm always like, keep it in the next room or keep it away or just like, it can't be in here. So that's what really helps me. What do you guys do?
Oh, I just have it glued to my hand at all times.
Much. Well, and to be fair, I think we work, and I'm not saying you don't, Lindsay, but we work basically from sun up to sundown, replying to a lot of our clients and stuff like that. So we do to some degree have to have our phone on us all the time. And I think we're getting better at setting boundaries. I think I do it probably better than Bridgette and Danielle do, where I still have my phone, but I have a pretty hard cutoff time that I'm not going to pick up the phone after 7:00 because I start to turn into mush, that type of stuff. But it's still in my hand, and I'm now relaxing and doing some enjoyment on my phone for me as opposed to working. So I'm not really the best case study because I'm still utilizing my phone. It's just maybe not for work at that point.
Well, and I think that's such a great point because, like, honestly, Amanda, you're right. Like, so many of us, especially now that we're working from home and juggling the kids and trying to do, like, really, this is almost the new laptop. Like, you're
Absolutely.
really just
the office
trying to get back to people. You're trying, you know what I mean? You could be out at the park with your kids. I've even seen moms or, parents at the park with their kids literally on a Zoom call, you know what I mean? And they're taking calls, they're responding to emails. So I think you're right. Like, it is only natural that in this day and age, we're, I guess, expected to be a little bit more responsive. And those boundaries aren't as firm as they used to be.
I'm really bad about it. I mean, if I once had a client, I went on vacation and I had someone else helping my client, and he had really great boundaries where I do not. And he took maybe an hour to respond to the question. And my client said, I'm used to Bridgette answering within 10 minutes, and was, I think, upset that it took him an hour to respond, because if I see a message from a client, I have to answer it. I don't operate any other way. I don't know how to fix that. And plus, to go to sleep at night, I've been using the Calm app for like the sleep meditation. If my phone's downstairs, how am I going to do that? But maybe I would be able to fall asleep because I didn't have my phone in my hand for 3 hours before. But like, it's all relative.
Cycle.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't necessarily think, like, it's really not like a one size fits. It's really about finding your rhythm and what works for you. Like, even when you were talking, earlier before, Bridgette, about the laundry, like, for us, one of the biggest things, I don't want to go on a tangent because I feel like I could go forever. When we had, because I have two girls, they're 18 months apart. It's a shit show in my house most days. And one of the things I remember when we had Sienna, my youngest, was I was doing everything. I felt like I was constantly the one who was not only doing the household stuff and trying to do the work stuff, but also doing like the emotional, you know what I mean? Like the emotional management. I was really carrying like the emotional and mental workload of our, I was the one scheduling the doctor's appointments. I was the one making sure that they were registered for daycare. And I finally had to sit down to my husband and say, like, listen, your time and my time are equal. They are equal. And so that means that even if I'm a stay-at-home mom, even, you know what I mean? Or if I'm working less or you're working, our time is equally as valuable. And so we need to figure out a way to divide all of these tasks so that both of our time is equal. And so we just literally sat down one day and we basically mapped out everything that we need to do in a week. And we each picked the things that we love to do and decided the things that we hated to do. And hopefully the other person really liked them. Like Marcus loves cleaning the bathroom. I can't stand cleaning the bathroom.
What?
I know.
I need this.
Because he's meticulous.
I meant how wonderful.
No, he's a Sagittarius. See, it's a blessing. He's a Sagittarius. So he's like so meticulous about everything. I would clean the bathroom and then he would be like, that bathroom's not clean. And I'm like, okay, whatever, you do it then. But so we really had to sort of get into a rhythm that worked with us. And I think the reason why so many of us struggle with this is because, like, I think it ultimately comes down to our self-worth and how women are perceived in society, and the fact that like we're expected to do that. I speak to so many moms on a regular basis that where they are doing everything and they feel bad about asking for help. Like, I think it really comes down to one of two things. It's either worthiness or it's control, because then on the opposite end of it, like either you don't feel worthy enough to ask for help, or you believe that your partner is not going to do it as well as you can. So then you go, and do it. And it's one of those things where it's like, well, with the control, Danielle, I love you. You got to let it go. Like, you really have to sort of assess. That's what Marcus and I did. We really had to assess what was the standard of good for us. And so when it came to cleaning the house, it was like, okay, how often do the bathrooms actually have to be cleaned? Because for us, I'll clean the sink maybe once a week. I'm not going to clean the shower every week. I'm just not going to do it. So for us, what works for us is we do it like once every 2 weeks. And if we miss a week, like this weekend, we missed it because it was beautiful outside. We wanted to take the girls to the beach. I was like, whatever, who cares? The bathroom. But it took me a long time to get to that place where I was like, if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. Like, as long as there's not mold on the floor where my babies are bathing themselves, I'm good.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, and I think that's a really good strategy, because I think in my house anyway, and Chris will listen to this and he will have to agree because it's true. It always seems to be like tit for tat. Well, I unloaded the dishwasher yesterday. Well, I did this yesterday, but I did this yesterday, but I did this. Like, it's a
match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And instead of just saying like, this is my job, I am always going to do X, Y, or Z, and you will always do A, B, and C. Like, that makes so much more sense than, hey, can you take that laundry upstairs? I just did the laundry.
That honestly, that makes a lot of sense.
And I think for us, one of that honestly was really, Bridgette, the thing that like the clear lines of like, what is your job and what is our job was really helpful for us. The thing where we struggled, which we also then had to let go of, was if your partner then does not do the thing, what happens? And so for us, it really comes down to, and I'm getting to a place where I'm like really good at letting it go now. If it bothers me, if he forgets and it bothers me that much, it is up to me to do it because I'm the person that it's bothering. So, and I said, and then I say, like, listen, this is I have to really talk myself through it. This is bothering me. This is my choice to do it. And it's not about, hey, you didn't do this, this, and this. Because I also recognize too, like, my husband's human, like he's going to forget, like none of us are perfect. And I know that if I forget to do something, the last thing that I want is for him coming to me being like, well, you didn't do this. And so I'm just like, okay, if it's bugging me, I'll get it done. I think that that's really how we have, because we don't fight about household stuff anymore. And that's really, because we used to all the day. It was on the height of our totem pole of like what our fights were about.
I'm sure you and so many other married couples, if we're being honest.
Yes.
It was true. And so now I feel like at least we have clear division. I also feel supported because I know that it's not falling on my, like, there is nothing better than knowing that I don't ever have to think about Maddie going to daycare. Because Marcus, that was one of the things where I was like, you're responsible for all the forms. You're responsible for whatever she needs every single day. Like, that's you. And so now it's like, I get to free up space in my brain because I don't ever have to think about daycare again. Granted, if the kids need to go to the doctors or the dentist, that's on me.
I don't know. I feel like the way that you deliver things, it just clicks with me sometimes. Like that seriously just clicked with me. So I think for me, a lot of my stress and anxiety comes from mental clutter and the what if scenarios or what's going to happen scenarios. So like you just saying, that's something that you no longer have to think about. That's not your job. That's not your, one of the tasks that you were going to do. So you no longer have to think about it. Instead of it being who's going to do this? Well, am I going to do it? Is he going to do it? Like, well, what time is it going to get done? Is everything going to get done properly? Like, it's off your plate completely. I dig it. I dig it a lot.
Which is also where I think the conversation of having the standards come in, like, and like the expectations, because it's like anything else, like, you know what I mean? If you think of your household as a business, you wouldn't have a new employee come in and just be like, these are the jobs that you have to do, go on your way. Like, you'd be like, this is how we as a team, these are the standards that we as a team are going to set. This is how we as a team are going to meet them. And if we don't meet them, then it's like, okay, bless, I got it. I'll handle it. And that for me was probably one of the hardest things to do because guilt is like my love language. So I think that really being able to like let that go and be like, this is bothering me. I'm the one that it's, you know what I mean? And that was the thing too. A lot of times it's like I weigh it. I'm like, okay, what is going to stress me out or piss me off more, doing it or leaving it? And then from there, I weigh them out and then I make a decision.
And I think we need to go easy on ourselves too when those things aren't done. Bridgette, are you okay?
Yeah, just throw in my microphone. It's fine. Everything's good.
For in my family, you know, my husband works all day long every single day. So everything falls on my shoulders. And so I had to be okay with, well, if I didn't vacuum this week, I didn't vacuum this week. And I would always have to like defend myself when my husband came home and say, I didn't get to, you know, vacuum today because of this, or this. And he finally said to me, he's like, Amanda, when have I ever said, why didn't you vacuum? Why don't I have clean clothes? Why don't I have this? Like, what you can get done is what you can get done. But so he never had a problem with anything that wasn't complete. It was always the me going, I should have did a load of laundry today, or I should have did this today. Where in some days you just can't, or some days you just don't feel like it too, right, ladies?
Yeah, for sure. So I think oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so I think we have to go easy on ourselves tremendously when that task list just doesn't get complete.
I think you're so right about that. So I've tried everything under the sun to try to keep a detailed schedule as far as, you know, cleaning goes and cooking and you name it. Like these days are going to be designed for these things. But I am a type of person who I call myself an obliger. If you haven't heard of the 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin, I highly recommend it. I'm an obliger through and through. I will let myself down before I let somebody else down. And Brandon is an extension of me, essentially, because we are just one married unit at this point. We've been together for so long. So it's very easy for me to let myself down and him in order to meet somebody else's expectation. And so if somebody else comes in and throws a wrench in my plan because of work or whatever else they need me to do something in that moment, I'm going to allow my schedule to get derailed for that other person. But then I have the guilt associated with it. And then like, that's when the whole thing is like the trying to play catch up, or if I didn't get to it one day, then if I can't get to it the next day because I had that day entirely planned out because it's supposed to get done the day prior, it's like a vicious cycle. So just like calming down and giving yourself, you know, a little bit of space is definitely something that I think we all need. Me for sure.
Well, and I think too, sorry, Lindsay, but I think too, when you're saying like someone else comes in and throws a wrench because they need your help and you're feeling guilty because you let yourself down. And on the flip side of that, if I have a boundary and I say, you know what, I just can't do that today, then I spend the rest of the day worried that person is upset with me.
True.
And that's
you can't win.
No, you can't. But that's a they problem, not a you problem. So why do we antagonize over that in our head though? Because how they react to your boundary is on them, not us.
Is it though?
Yeah.
No, that was so good. I need to remember that.
I'm gonna start reminding you that's a they problem, Bridgette. That's not a you problem.
That's a they problem.
Yeah.
Well, I have friends that can say that, like they'll do something and then I'm like, but what about a week from now when this comes back up? And they're like, that's a problem for me 7 days from now. That's not a problem for me in this moment. I'm like, I can't operate that way. Lindsay, I've cut you off twice. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, what you're saying is so important. So I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. I don't want to lose this thought. But like, I think you're so right in the sense of like, as women, we are, it can't like, I don't want to go back to, I don't want to like harp on this worthiness thing. But if you think about all of the different ways that we are conditioned to people please, like, and to always go the extra, like motherhood in general is all about self-sacrifice. Like there are so many different ways, like we find our worthiness in what we do for other people. You know what I mean? And so when that is just repeatedly, like just beat into you over and over again, it's like, I always think back to when I was younger with my mom, like and we've talked about this like so much, like she just sacrificed so much. And I said to her the other day, like, I was just like, it's so funny because in reality, like, at the time she thought that she was sacrificing and trying to do so much for us. But in reality, how that also came out was guilt, which is why my love language is guilt. Because she always, she would always guilt us about it. Like, oh, we do everything for you kids and you're so spoiled and mama. And then so reversely, then that taught me to even hide more of my needs. You know what I mean? And not ask for what I wanted, because then I was like, okay, well, if I ask for what I want, then it's not good. You know what I mean? If I say what I need, I'm being selfish. Like, so there's so many different ways that we are just conditioned to not hold space for ourselves and to not put up those boundaries. And then to like try to overachieve in all of these different areas, like at our detriment.
Mm-hmm.
So how many times have I said to my children, as you're saying this, I'm like, cool. Cause I'm pretty sure just yesterday, probably Aaron asked me for something and I'm like, you get everything you want. Can you just give me 5 minutes, please?
Listen,
we do it all the time. Like we are all conditioned. Like, that's the thing. Like, we are only like, there's only so many things that we can control. Like, I mean, I was joking with Marcus the other day because he like shamed me about something that I like said or did to Madison. And then I was like, you know what? I know that I am not the author of the perfect parenting book, but until you also pen that book, you cannot say anything to me. Like, we're all just really trying to do our best.
Danielle is dying over there. I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out my favorite part of this, what Lindsay's saying or Danielle's reactions, because they're both equally fantastic right now.
I love that. I'm like, okay, I need to make a mental note of that. Okay, got it.
She's about to turn this whole screen into a spreadsheet in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, you want to see my notes? You want to see my notes?
But it's so true, because I always think of it when I'm saying to my children, like, they'll ask for something in addition to the 800 things they already have. And sometimes I'm like, stop and think about everything that you have. You want for nothing. You have so many extras. Like, no, you're not getting whatever that thing is. And now I'm like, well, there's probably a better way to say it. Not that I'm screaming at them or anything, but at the same time, you don't want to make them feel guilty for my decisions, right? Like, I'm the one that decided to do all of that for you. Why is that your problem? It's mine.
You decided what their needs are.
That's it.
Where they are like, who's to say what Lindsay's needs were as a child? So to have the ask, that was a need of hers. And while, yes, basic necessities, and yes, Bridgette, your children are spoiled. Let's be very clear about that. So I think that's a natural reaction to feel like you have everything and it's still not enough, but it might be feeding into completely something different than what the actual current need actually is. And needs change, right? I mean, I know mine do.
Yeah.
And for me, it always comes back to compassion. Like which it's so funny. I was again I feel like I talked to my mom about so much of this just because I'm rehashing so much, you know what I mean? I'm really trying to just like figure this. Thank God she's such an open human being to be able to like have these conversations.
Absolutely.
But I say to her, reversely, where like, I have family members who like have blamed their moms and like cut off their families and stuff like that. Like I said to her, it really, having kids has done nothing except show me how much you tried, like how much, like I have so much compassion for how exhausted you were and, that you worked full time and that you had 3 girls and that, dad was working all the time and he was traveling and you were really trying to do this. So of course you're going to mess this up. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's only natural that it's not going to be perfect. And then, so in those moments that I have with Maddie, where I'm ready to just murder her, I'm like, it's only natural. This is a part of it. And then I hope one day I will give her the exact same phone number of my therapist. I'm like, here are all the resources, girl. Like, you can unpack. Like, I hope that she is in a place where she can finally see, or just see me. You know what I mean? Because I feel like now I actually see my mom. Like I see her, like I get it. And I'm like, my God, that was so, even with Marcus, I do it now all the time too. Like if he's like being a dick, because he will be, because obviously we're in like a global pandemic. I always like, before I used to be like, why are you being such a jerk or, whatever. And now I'm like, man, you must be really going through something, because I know that that's not your best self. I know that the real you would never talk to me like that. Like what is actually happening? And I think if we have that compassion with ourselves, how you were saying earlier, Amanda, about like, how you were used to like have all these things to do and they wouldn't get done. If we're just like, well, I still crushed today.
Absolutely. Like think of all the things that we did get done. Why am I focused on 2 things that I wasn't able to check off? Like the heck with that. That was so silly. So much of my life, I thought that. And I'm almost 40. I'm older than Bridgette and Danielle. So, I mean, I feel like I have an advantage that my words are a little wiser than they would have been even 5 years ago.
Sure.
And one of my favorite things that I've been seeing on the Facebook and on the IG is there's like images going around saying, little did our children know that we were growing up alongside them, especially when you have them in your 20s. And I love that because, I mean, we were figuring it out as 20-year-old people just as much as they're figuring out their little attitudes at their age. And I thought that was so simply put, because it's true. We can't expect our parents to have been perfect when they were growing up too.
Oh, yeah. Hell, I'm still figuring it out every day. Absolutely. I'm like, what are we doing today?
Absolutely. And every mom, well, most mothers truly do try their best.
Yeah.
They'll never be perfect, but they do try their best.
So what can we do moving forward? What are some, besides just, giving ourselves some grace and some space to kind of ebb and flow with things, what are things that we can do to this is me going back to the control thing, get control of our schedules. See?
Well, I would say that there's a really beautiful process that we use actually in my program. And I'd be happy to share it with you guys and your audience, because I think that it would be like really helpful, where ultimately, and we in my program in the Nourish system, we use it more from a health perspective, but you can really apply it to anything, in that we want to first identify what the outcome is that you want to achieve. Because I think a lot of times what happens is, the reason why I use outcome instead of goals is because goals are really small. Like, if we think about it in terms of weight loss, like goals are always like, I want to lose 30 pounds. Whereas instead, if you think about it, well, what is the outcome that you want to achieve? Is it that you want to feel sexy in your body? Is it that you want to have an abundance of energy? Is it that you want to, feel totally confident about food and never stress about anything again? Like that is the big picture of what you want for your life. So what is the outcome? So if we're thinking about it from like a household,
yes.
So if we think about it from like a household perspective too, it's even like, how do you want to feel you know what I mean? Like during the day, like, how do you want to feel when you wake up in the morning? How do you want to feel at the end of the day? And then from there, you kind of have to sort of work backwards and deconstruct it. So it's like, what are the intentions that I need to then set to help this happen? And I always say, just pick one. Like write them all down, but really you're focusing on like one thing at a time. Because like we said before, overwhelm is the thing that 9 times out of 10 is going to get us stuck. And so if we're really trying to, and I feel like this happens all the time, we're trying to do it all and then none of it happens. And so if you only pick one, what that really does is not only does it give you just one thing to focus on to stop the overwhelm, but you'll start to see that if you're continuously doing it every single day, it really helps to build up your confidence so that you can keep going. And then once you've mastered that, then you can add the next thing. Amanda, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, if you see us looking down, we are totally taking notes. We're not distracted. Because I looked up and all 3 of us were like, all like kind of looking down. I was like, I want to let her know that we're loving what she's saying, that we're literally taking notes and not paying attention.
I love that.
I wanted to point out too that I am a part of your system. I've been working through the whole food thing. That's a conversation for another day. But one of the things that you talked about doing was really taking 2 days and figuring out where your time is being spent. Yeah. And so that's, I don't know if you can see, like I wrote that down for 2 days,
journal.
literally every 20 minutes for 2 days. I did the thing, I did it. And it almost made me more aware of what I was doing. And I think that was probably the point of it, is like, oh, hey, I was scrolling Netflix or Instagram or something for 20 minutes, like, whoops. And then it was easier for me to get back on track, where I think so many things just become so habitual and so just second nature. Like, I don't even think about it. I pull up my phone, I open it up, and I start looking at these notifications and stuff like that. And then, 20, 30 minutes goes by before I even realized what I was doing. And having that to kind of sit down and to write these things out, it was like, whoa, I didn't realize that was even happening. It's kind of crazy.
Well, and I think it also helps to create the awareness of how much of that household load you're carrying. Like if you're tracking your time and you're, you know what I mean? If on your time slot is like vacuum, whatever it may be, like whatever household chore may be. And then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? If your husband does the same exercise and he doesn't have a lot, then it's like, okay, dude, I'm going to make dinner 3 nights a week. You're going to make dinner 4 nights or whatever. You know what I mean? Because then it really helps you to create more space for the things that you want to do for yourself in order to make yourself feel better. Because I think right now, especially with moms, I was talking about this the other day on IG. If there's one thing that we're so stressed and we're so overwhelmed, and the antidote to stress is joy.
Yes.
And that's why I'm on Clubhouse for so many hours. You
guys, this conversation that you had on Instagram stories blew my mind, because I've never thought about life this way at all. And I'll let you explain what you were talking about, but this just is something that I feel like so many people, especially as we get into adulthood and later into adulthood and stuff, that this is just eliminated from our psyche.
And that's the thing is that, and I realized this for myself a couple of weeks ago, because like it's funny, towards the beginning of this year has been so hard for me, of like, I feel like I'm coming to the end of my rope with the pandemic. And so I was saying this to my therapist, like, I was like, my thoughts are so dark. Like, I feel so exhausted. Like, I just don't know what the hell is going on. And then we started to realize that there was no joy in my life. And then I started to rhyme off. Like, I was like, well, no, like I meditate and I work out and I take care of myself. And she's like, that's not joy.
Not joy.
Like, she's like, those are just things that, you know what I mean? That they do, like, they help, they ultimately
it's medicine.
But she's like, really, joy is doing something simply for the feeling of just happiness without an outcome attached. And I think a lot of women do, a lot of women say like, oh, well, like working out or going for a walk or like whatever it is. But
I feel like they have canned responses. What do you do for fun? Go for a walk. Like, is that really? I feel like we're master at having the right answers.
But then, like, if you think about it too, and this may just be like my AAA type, like speaking, but like, if you think about it too, if I'm going for a walk, oh my God, this is just coming up. If I'm going for a walk, I am always, and I think everybody who's in business, I mean, everybody I think can relate to this. I am either listening to a podcast or I'm thinking about my business. I'm thinking about my clients. And I think that what joy is, like, I started to think back when I was younger and I was like, what did I love to do? And I was like, I loved to skateboard. I don't skateboard anymore. Like,
You're so cool.
You are so cool.
But I remember I worked at a farm for an entire summer just to be able to ride the horses. I loved horseback riding. Like, I don't do that anymore. Like, it's like all of those little things where it's just like time escapes you because you're just so filled with like, I fucking love this moment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't ever want this to end. And I think, to your point, Danielle, like, adults just don't do that. And it's like the joy has just been like at some point. And now that's the scary thing. Sometimes I even find myself sucking it out of the girls. Like, if they're like freaking, you know what I mean? Like, the other day they were like in the car and they were like screaming and giggling. And I'm like, you guys, like, stop, like this. And I'm like, I'm killing their joy. Like I'm just robbing them of it. Like,
I think it's so important that you're saying these things out loud, because I think it's very natural for that instinct to be, please be quiet. Like you need to protect your mental health. I'm at the same time, but so much we do that with our children. And that is sad to some degree. We're taking away the very things that you were talking about that you enjoyed as a child.
I feel like so much of this conversation goes right back to the same thought for me, which is just becoming hyper aware of what you're doing, how you're saying certain things, what you're actually saying, and like what that could potentially do to both yourself, your kids moving forward. I think that's so interesting, is just being super hyper aware about what's going on and what you're doing.
Lindsey, I would love to pick your brain about this. And it's something that's been really on my heart the last month or so. I think a lot of us have been working from home, all of us right here within this podcast, and which has allowed us to, even though our plates are extremely full, there's been a benefit to, I can actually take a break real quick and throw chicken in the oven. I can take a break real quick and throw in a load of laundry. What happened, Bridgette? That's okay. That's okay, Bridgette. She's like, no, not me. No. I think a lot of women, once we have to go back into the real world again and actually spend some time commuting, which lessens our time for those extra things, I think our plates, we're going to feel very overwhelmed, because maybe where we were able to sneak in some of those house duties or whatever, now that time's not going to be there again. And I think we're going to go back to this feeling very overwhelmed, and we're going to have to like pivot into that very slowly. And it scares me for a lot of women, because I know our plates are already full and we're going to need that support.
Well, it's already happened. I mean, I can remember a year ago when karate was shut down, school was shut down.
Yes.
Wasn't really even going to the grocery store. And I kept thinking, you are going to miss this. Slow down. You are going to miss this. And all I did was it's like a wild animal, like scratching to get out, because I'm such an extrovert and I need to be out and I need to be around people. And now karate's back. Church is back. I've got 3 different Bible studies that I'm a part of. I work full time. My husband, and I just want to slow down again. And that's not an option. So it is.
And not just that. I mean, we had commute time that we no longer were doing, that now we filled up with other tasks, other opportunities, other events, other extracurricular activities. We're going to bust. We're going to pop. And I think every woman has to be aware that that day is coming for them, and don't wait to pop. Like, get your plan in place now so that doesn't become what happens.
I think it's interesting bringing up quarantine too, because that was probably the last time I did things for fun, strictly for fun, was because we had all of this free time. Listen, we all know that I'm a nerd here. I was like, reading fiction books and making forts with my son and coloring and doing puzzles and stuff like that, because introvert over here, I thrived during quarantine. So I did like all of my fun, nerdy things without actually it being for a specific outcome. Like, it wasn't to de-stress on purpose and things like that, because we had so few things to actually do. It's very interesting.
I think that I think a lot of times it's really just going to come down to being able, which I think it comes back to the worthiness, being able to put your hand up and say, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this.
And say that again for the ladies in the back who are going to resist this, because there's going to have to be things that we have to say no to. So I want you to say it one more time, so that you hear it.
Knowing that it's okay that you
don't unplug your ears, Bridgette Robertson.
But I think I can't do this, and knowing that it's okay that you can't do this. And I truly think that, so that's the very interesting, I don't want to go off on another tangent, but that's also the very interesting thing about women relating to other women, is that sometimes when a woman does admit that she has help, whether she has like a housekeeper or whatever, it's almost like we shame her for it. Must be nice kind of thing. Or alternatively, I remember I was talking to another mom at the daycare, and I was like, yeah, you know, my mom watches our youngest a couple days a week. And she was like, oh, well, that must be. And I'm like, I can't do this alone.
Right.
I can't.
Well, and I think too, as just humans, not even women, we love to compete in the miserable Olympics, right? Like sometimes that's my favorite hobby. And I'm really trying so hard not to, but like when I say I have to go clean the bathroom and a friend says, I have a housekeeper. I'm like, well, you don't understand how hard my life is because I have to clean the bathroom and you don't have to. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. But it's almost like you're bragging about the fact that you have all this stuff to do because that makes your life harder than the person sitting next to you.
I think that kind of goes back to, I know, Lindsey, you're in Canada, but that kind of is like the American way, right? Is this hustle, 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 go, go, go. I'm busier than you are. Like you ask somebody, oh, how's work? Busy. That's always our response every single time, when really, if we were to sit down and think about it, like that's, you know, I don't know. It's not supposed to be that way. And I don't think it needs to be that way. But if somebody says, oh, it's actually been very relaxing, you know, I've been doing this, doing that, taking my time, whatever, then we're gonna shame them for not putting in as much work as we are. It's ridiculous.
Well, because that's where we get our worthiness from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like whoever hustles the hardest, who's ever, you know what I mean? To, you know, to Bridget's point, like whose ever life is harder, then we're more worthy. And that's the thing. Like I always say, like, would I love to have a housekeeper? Yes. Is that something that I'm working towards? You're damn right I am. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like
notes.
The very fact that like Marcus and I were joking, like last weekend when it was so nice and we took the girls to the beach because we live close to the water. Like I was like, I had to, you know, we did this sort of dance of like, well, when are we going to get the household chores done? And I said to him, I was like, I can't wait for the day if we could just have somebody come in every now and then so that this helps to create some space for us to be a family. And alternatively, until then, we just have each other's back. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? But I think that that's the thing, is admitting so many of us, which I think, you know, when I think back to my mom too, like I look back, she cleaned the house every single day. Like she never asked my dad for anything. Like it was such a, I don't want to say like a martyr story, but like, you know what I mean? That's how it kind of felt like and so now when I look at that programming where I feel like I can't ask Marcus for help, or I feel like I should just do it, then I'm like, where is that coming from? Like, cause why can't he take care of daycare? Why can't he manage, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. He's a brilliant, like our husbands, our partners are brilliant, capable human beings. We just need to allow them to like execute those, you know what I mean? Like they can do it as well as we can.
I should add that Chris does do a ton. He's going to listen to this and go, you do stuff. He does.
I feel like I need to say that about Brandon too.
He's currently at home doing laundry as I sit in this office. He does do a ton.
Hi, Chris.
But there is a lot of, like you said earlier, mental and emotional stuff that just he doesn't have to think about. He doesn't have to think about well visits and going to the orthodontist. And he'll take Aaron to the orthodontist if it works with his schedule. He absolutely will. Doctor's appointments, that kind of thing, like the paperwork and all of that. Like, I just do it. I just pay the bills. I know how much money we have. He has no idea about any of that because of me, not because he doesn't want to know any of that. I just do it.
And so I think it's a part of that, like even going back to what you were saying before, Amanda, about like how everybody's going back to work and like the overwhelm is really going to start to kick in. I think really taking ownership of, you know what I mean? Your role in this, being aware, like, you know, as Danielle was saying earlier, being really aware of how am I contributing to this? Because if my brain, you know what I mean? If I'm the only one that's stressing out about all these things and my partner is like living on easy street, which I think most husbands just as default do.
Yes.
And it's like, how can I create some space for my big, beautiful brain so that I can focus on the joy, so that I can take, you know, an afternoon off or whatever, like, so I can go and sit in the backyard and like read a book with like a glass of Chardonnay or something and just like not worry about anything. Like, I think it's creating that awareness and really seeing where you are contributing to this and then how you can put your hand up, because that's ultimately what it comes down to, is asking for help and knowing that you're worthy of receiving it.
Yeah.
Oh. We're just like, yeah, this is great. Great talk, Lindsey. Great talk.
No, it was helpful. And
It really was.
I'm kind of excited to circle back to, I hate that phrase, circle back, but here we are.
Too.
Let's circle back.
Why
Sorry, Danielle.
I feel like I say that all the time.
I've never heard you say that. I don't think.
Okay, good.
But your face when I said it, you were like, oh.
Oh.
It's just such like a business ease saying. Anyway, circling back to what's the outcome you want? How do you want to feel?
Sorry. We got off on a tangent. So
no. I just love that, because in my head, I'm thinking like, I need to deep clean my bedroom and get it to be like a place that I want to feel happy waking up in, versus waking up and going like, I have to dust that and I have to pick up that load of clothes and I have to go and wipe whatever it is. So I think that you can apply this to if you're someone like me who wants to be more organized and just be more like, when I walk in my house. You can do this like per space, right? So if I'm standing in my kitchen, what do I want my kitchen to look like? I want to clean this counter off or clean that cabinet out, whatever it is. And how can I get there? By throwing all this crap away.
And then setting the intention of, I think that's the other thing too, setting the intention of like, what do I need to do in order for this to happen? And then from there, all you really need to do is, like Danielle said earlier, take a look at your schedule, take that one thing and plug it in. And then every single day or whatever, like however often you need to do it, that's what you're doing. And then once you've mastered that, hit the next intention and then put it into your schedule. Like really, it's funny because I feel like, Danielle, I feel like you're like my spirit animal in the sense like Marcus's and my calendars are really blocked off for the sense that they have to be.
Yep.
But now it's like we're in such a flow with so many things that we don't even have to look at it anymore. Like I know Wednesdays and Sundays are laundry day. Saturdays is grocery shopping and meal prep. Like Sundays, we do a little bit of cleaning the house and that's it.
And when you put it like that, it seems so simple.
I know it does. It really
just sounded so easy.
But I think I feel like it's because, I mean, it wasn't easy in the beginning. We had a lot of like dust ups about it too. And like when I look at the mornings, like when the girls get up, cause we will usually give them a bath in the morning. Cause by the end of the day, we're so exhausted. I hate bath time. It never worked for me. So I was like, they can take a bath in the morning. And so he will bath them in the morning. While he's bathing them and getting them ready, I'm downstairs making their breakfast. And then we switch. And then I get to go upstairs and get ready and he feeds them. But like, we just have this whole, what do you like to do? What do you hate to do? Mm-hmm. Where can we like tap in and tap out? And it kind of flows for us now, I think.
Brandon does quite a bit for us as well. Like he's the main cooker and things like that. But I think he's just the main cook. I think that's the correct phrase, Danielle. Geez. But I think that this is very interesting. He's in for a very long conversation after this call. We're going to lay down all of the things and what are you going to do? What do you want me to do? How often? What days? Maybe picking specific days like, okay, he cooks Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. I don't know. And then I do all of the other days. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
I love it. Well, how I positioned it to Marcus was almost like a draft. Like I was like, it's like a draft and we're each picking our teams. And so he was like, I'm down for that. I'll draft.
Yeah. He'll get it. He'll get it. Brandon will understand it now. I'm writing that down. The draft.
That's funny. And I'll say his name, but I don't care if people like him or not. But Elon Musk, I saw something that he quoted. It said, if you give yourself 12 hours to clean your house, it's going to take you all 12 hours.
So
if you give yourself 3 hours to clean the whole house, you're going to get it done in 3 hours. So I feel like I dawdle a lot. Is that the right word? Dawdle? Is that a word in general? Like, did I just make up a
Dawdle.
word?
Dawdle. Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
But you know what I'm saying. Like, I'll go, let me change my Pandora station. Let me find a new podcast as I go into the bedroom. And I really slowed down it where if I only truly had 2 hours to do the whole house, I have no doubt I'd be sweating my butt off. I'd get it done. So I think sometimes finding more time is by adjusting the time allotted for certain tasks too.
Very true.
So,
and looking at the things that you're, like you said, filling your time with. If I'm giving myself 2 hours, like this morning is a really great example. I was working and then I was going to get up and I was going to sweep and mop the floors. But then I was like staring at my phone. And then I was, then my dog was outside tearing up the landscaping. So I had to take pictures. Like, whatever. So I swept the floors. I cleaned off the island, like, wiped it down or whatever. That's it. It's as far as I got.
But you got that far.
And I think it's also a thing, like this was one of the biggest things for me, having grown up in a house where my mom literally like vacuumed and cleaned the house every single day. Like really setting the standard of like what actually needs to get done. Because I only dust once a month. Like, I don't care. Yeah. I'm not dusting more. You know what I mean? We don't do like, I don't know. I feel like I pushed the standards where I was like, I don't need this done. Like, I don't care about this. And so I think when you take the things that are priority and then plug them in, it just helps to say, okay, I'm going to clean the house like once a month. Like, I'll dust the house or whatever, like once a month. And then that like that day is I'm going to throw on some, a really great playlist and get this puppy done. But then it's only like one day out of the entire month.
That's good.
I dig it.
I hate dusting.
Yeah, I would dust all day.
I don't mind dusting. I don't want to do laundry.
I'll do laundry all day. Do dishes, cook my food. That's all I ask.
I'll do dishes. I don't mind dishes.
You gonna cook for me too?
No.
This is why I love hearing all of us, because I know every woman listening is relating to everything that we're saying. This is just real life.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lindsey, you were worth the repeat.
Bridgette Robertson.
What?
I'm totally kidding.
I feel like. Did you want to re-say that? I mean,
we just adore you.
Just such a bang up job.
I love you guys so much. And like I said before, if you want the training, I break it all down from like the outcome to more than happy to share it with your audience. So like, by all means, it's something that I think really helps you identify, the priorities, but bigger is how you want to feel every single day, which is, I think, what ultimately all of us are chasing for.
Absolutely. Because when our day goes well, don't we feel like an absolute boss? Like
so good.
We have those days occasionally where you're like, darn, I did good, right? Like if we could have more days like that than not, that would be amazing. And I feel like every time Lindsey's on, we could have like 40 episodes. I feel like we could talk to you for hours and hours and hours and not get enough of you.
Oh my God, I love you guys so much.
I agree.
So tell us everywhere that you can be found.
Whew. So on IG, you can follow me at Lindsey Wolf. So it's LINDSEY and then Wolf, like the animal, _ on Facebook, I'm at The Nourish Comp. So it's The Nourish Company, which is my company, but it's COMP. And then I also have a free Facebook group called The Nourish Life, where you can come and I give away all this stuff all the time. Just chat about all of the things to really help you optimize your life and feel amazing in your body.
That's right.
Awesome. We are so thankful for you. I hope I was just kidding when I said you were
I
worth
love you.
it.
I I hope I can come back for a third. If I can come back for a third,
I will. Yes.
Let's see if we can make you our first three-peat. That would be awesome.
I'll bring my gold.
That's cute. I did want to reference that if you wanted to hear Lindsey's previous episode with us, it's episode 14. So go and look for that episode and you can see Lindsey's debut with Bad Moms in Business.
Yes. I'm barely in it, so there's not going to be any sort of nonsense. It's like straight to the point.
For last time.
We will have all of Lindsey's links in the description box, in the show notes, things like that, and the old episode as well.
Awesome. That is fantastic. So what is our B lady?
So much, guys. I really appreciate it. This is so fun. I love you all so much.
You're so sweet. We love you and adore you and so grateful you share your knowledge with us because Lord knows we need it.
Yeah.
What is our B for the day, ladies?
Oh, gosh.
B.
You know, Bridgette's real witty until I ask what the B is supposed to be. And then she's like, I don't know.
I'm out.
I'm out. Peace.
Oh, no.
B, I feel like we referenced so many amazing things today. Let's see.
Could be.
Be joyful. Be joyful.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, I love that.
Okay, be joyful. I say writing down those notes help.
Yes.
I like it.
Be joyful, ladies. Because that feeds your soul.
Yes,
it
Love
does.
that. Thank you again, Lindsey.
Any
final words before we close this baby down? Nothing. Awesome.
Nope.
We will see you this week for another episode of Bad Moms in Business.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.